fucking chance. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Parking Brown Show. I'm Jacob, Mr. Nick Carnes, and Casey Kinnaman down below. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at SeatGeek. If for whatever reason you decide you'd still like to go to a game, go get your tickets at SeatGeek. Use our promo code ParkingBrowns, all one word, all capitals. Get $20 off your first purchase. If you're not checking us out on YouTube, make sure you do go over to the YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. Gentlemen, what's up?
You know, nothing. Not much. Once again, so damn glad we don't do this right after the game.
Well, yeah, because I wouldn't have known what
time
happened.
To reflect and kind of direct my energy towards certain things, and I think we're going to have a lot of crazy ass conversations tonight.
I quote tweeted this show with Jameis Winston, clap, 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 clap. And I feel like that summarizes my thoughts on said issues. It's, you know what, I had a person argue with me today that the Browns don't have the worst record in the NFL because other teams also have the same amount of wins as the Browns do. It's like, there's no 0-5 team.
No. Win. Can't put an S on there.
Sorry. Win. There's no 0-5 teams, so if you have one win, that's the worst record in the NFL.
You just tied for the worst record. It's the same fucking thing.
And believe you me, I want to be positive and excited, and I tried to be. I started the game. I started game day with Michael Stanley. You know, here we go again. Cleveland Browns 1st and 10, and tried to be. And man, by about the middle of the fourth quarter, I flipped over to Bengals Ravens, and I was watching that.
I played Mortal Kombat at halftime and did not turn the game back on. I've seen it. I have since gone back and seen it, but
I did too.
Well, this was the first game that I couldn't go back and watch the all 22 for the whole thing.
No, I didn't.
The defense I did, but the offense, no.
I'll tell you what, there are quite a few clips that came out today that I feel like really summarize what's going on.
Quincy, our guy Quincy Carrier had probably go check out his film room on YouTube if you haven't. If you don't believe me when I say there are people fucking open all the damn time, so shut up. Guess what? Everybody wants to talk about all these drops. Casey, what's that number you told me? You want to tell me that number?
45% of the targets to Amari Cooper have been off target. Off target, 45%. There hasn't been another player with that high of a percentage with over 40 attempts their way since 2011.
Huh. Wow, that would seem to. Huh. No, but no. It's not Deshaun. Deshaun can't be the problem, can he?
Well, that's the thing. People keep.
Oh God, I'm sorry. Phenomenal. Open, they could start their own Wendy's. They're so open.
People deflect. They're like, well, it's not the only problem. Fuck no, it's not the only problem. I wish it was the only problem. I wish it was just one person. But it's the one you need to start with. It's the one that if you change, you can actually evaluate the other things. I can't even evaluate the wide receivers because of this guy. I can't evaluate yes, the offensive line's not good. This dude's inviting sacks, inviting pressure, not finding answers, not finding his checkdowns. Like there are so many things we can't even evaluate till we get an actual trigger man in to see what the problem is. Until that happens, man, this is just us spinning our wheels, wondering when the hell has Jimmy had enough? When has he seen enough to go ahead and put the hook out?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
But I just think before we even get into the game overall, I think it's important to pay attention to what's going on. From national media to the local media, there has just been hit piece after hit piece. Like Pat McAfee's throwing up tweets calling him Osama or
that one.
That
one was unhinged. It was hilarious, but it was unhinged.
Stephen A. Smith, Steelers fan, is calling for a Browns quarterback to be arrested for being so terrible.
Wanted him taken out back and shot like old Yeller.
Dan Orlovsky's calling it the worst situation in the NFL, and then today you have both Jason Lloyd and Aditi Kikabala saying that Kevin Stefanski they don't think Kevin Stefanski has the power to sit
Did
Deshaun
you?
down. And on top of that, Aditi questioned his work ethic and preparation entering the season. There is a lot of talking going on.
She
very
didn't
quickly.
want to. She really didn't want to say it, but they were coaxing it out of her. And she's like, well, maybe he doesn't want to put that extra work in. Like you could tell she really didn't want to say it, but she said it. It's bad, guys. Like I told the guys before this, a friend of my father, really nice guy, was at the Raiders game, and he called up my dad after the game, and he said, I know that it's not just Watson, but they're open. They're open a lot. And our good friend Quincy Carey, his film breakdown, they are open a lot. They are open. I thought the first half, because initially I didn't see the second half. And in the first half, till towards the end, it's too much of a reflection.
Sorry. The title of Quincy and Kolb's podcast today was Deshaun Watson sucks and the Browns need to move on today.
Well, the title of this show is Time to End the Deshaun Watson Era.
Okay. So we're on the same page here.
It's we don't want him. I know who runs that account, and that makes it even funnier. It's totally someone in North Korea, though. But yeah, it's just, it's so embarrassingly bad. Like he had an 8, a QBR of like an 8.6, 8.9, something like that.
Which is his second single-digit QBR of the season.
In case you didn't know, that's on a scale of 100.
Well.
Nearly the worst score you could have gotten.
Yeah.
You got an 8%. An 8%. An 8%. You know who played good and nobody paid any attention to it? Jed had a hell of a game. Jed played really well left tackle.
He played his best. I don't. He still gave up a sack and 2 pressures, but
yeah. But how much was that him?
No, I just wanted to. Well, it was a stunt. The sack was a stunt. They don't pick those up. They've just decided that's not what they're doing.
Like I said, I didn't super.
No, it was his best game. I mean, it's encouraging that he actually was putting in the effort and blocking people and trying to play to the end of the whistle, which
he actually tried.
Yeah, dude. Well, let's start there.
Was it good enough left tackle play to win a football game? Yes.
The blocking in the first half was good enough.
It did start to fall apart in the second half.
Well, because it was headhunting. When you're down so many and they know you're passing and they know it was just blitz. And what's crazy is when you blitz a quarterback repeatedly, you're saying, I don't respect you. I know you won't find the answers. Because a good quarterback, you're scared to blitz. You got to really pick and choose your spots. But when you're doing it as often and getting home as often as they are on blitz, I think like in the league, I think like getting home's supposed to be in the single digits, like on a blitz. And it's like 24% of blitzes result in a sack against the Browns right now.
It was a close game in like the first 5 minutes, maybe
5 minutes in. I like to play this game called Guess Which Quarterback This Is.
Okay.
And I'm going to compare 2 stats, and you tell me if you would accept either one of these and who they are.
Okay.
They're currently playing, I take it.
Yes.
For the game. Okay.
60.5% completion, 3,010 yards, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That's QB1. QB2, pretty similar, 60.3%, 2,900 yards, 18 and 12.
What's the sample size?
17 games.
So this is last season?
No. One of those
is Jacoby?
No. One of those is Deshaun Watson's 17 games as a Brown. The other one is Baker Mayfield's numbers in 2021 when he had a torn labrum, and they're the same.
That's
Baker completed 60.5% of his passes that year. Deshaun's less than that, 3,010 yards. Deshaun about 100 yards less than that.
Okay.
17 and 13. Watson actually has one more touchdown, one less interception.
There's conversations here that like this, I get it. There are problems all over the team, and I think we're going to dive into those.
Mhm.
But the most damning thing is when we get to today being Tuesday and the all 22 comes out and people can start looking at the film and say, okay, what's going wrong here? You see clip after clip after clip. Even Brian Baldinger today joined in on the fun to say this is simple. These guys are open. There are opportunities here, and Deshaun is not taking them. And I personally, I just think that mentally Deshaun is not where he's not anywhere near what he was, but he's just not anywhere near functional right now. And so even if like, I get it. Some people say if you sit him down, you can never go back to that. But
Cool.
Good.
But I do not think the situation right now is conducive to running an NFL offense. I don't think they can. They're the worst offense in the league.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about 59 possessions.
Okay.
59 possessions. And they've punted 30 times, which is the most in the NFL.
Smaller than I expected.
19 of those possessions were 3 and out. That means 1 out of every 3 times they get the ball, it's 3 and out. So they've only had 11 punts that came on drives that were more than 3 and out, and most of those are 4 and 5 play drives. None of them are double digits except for one. They had a 12-play drive that resulted in a punt at one point. Out of those 59 drives, they have 7 touchdowns. 7. That is 12% of the time. They have field goals on 7 possessions. It's 12% of the time. 10% of the time, it ends on downs or they don't convert 4th down. 2 of those are sacks that my guy took on 4th downs. So 10% of the time, he ended on 4th downs, which is a turnover in my mind. They don't call it a turnover for some reason. They don't call it safety, but a turnover on downs to me, it's dead on arrival. They've had 2 of their possessions end at the half or the end of the 4th quarter.
Right.
Didn't matter. And then they had 1 on a missed field goal. So between the 3 and outs and then the extended drives that are punts and the downs, that is, good Lord, dude. 60% of their drives are either 3 and outs, a straight up punt, or turnover on downs. It is inept to the point of we saw Stefanski get more out of PJ Walker flat out. We saw that.
Pleaded less than 50%.
I just want to say, in fairness, if we were looking at clips today and we said, okay, guys are not open, where was Deshaun supposed to go with the ball? I would look at that and say, okay, this is an offense problem, this is a scheme problem, this is a blocking problem, whatever.
It's a narrative that's been spun. They're not open. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are open.
I will say that there are a couple clips. I only watched the first half of the all 22 on offense. There are a couple questionable route combinations, a couple routes like they need to get to the sticks at 10 yards. Absolutely. And they're short of the sticks. So some of the concepts were wonky. But to say that there is so much meat on the bone. That dude is there are guys. I mean, and look, some of the throws you'd have to be an elite quarterback to make.
He's supposed to be.
Yes. But the problem is he's not even seeing them because the second there's a semblance of a rush, those eyes, they come straight down. He's not even looking for plays. He doesn't look for plays until after his head goes down and he scrambles out of the pocket left or right. And we're to the point now where, and Michael Keefe brought this up in Slack on the OBR. One of the pinnacles, one of the parts of his game that made him elite was his escapability and then ability to find people. He's not fast enough to escape the pocket anymore. He's getting ran down by defensive tackles now. Like that small bit of athleticism that he had over the defensive players to make them look kind of foolish in space, that's not there. He's not even escaping the pocket now. It's just the play's dead on arrival. Do
you want me to tell you? You're gonna love this. His rushing average per attempt is higher than his throwing average per attempt by nearly a full yard.
Yeah.
I think
Think
Deshaun
about that.
Deshaun
He's
was
averaging 4 yards per attempt.
he was having some success running still. And if you look at how Washington played them, they know that he's dropping his eyes quickly. And so they were prepared for him to try and escape out of the pocket. And they were not letting him do it. They said, you're going to beat us with your arm or you're not going to beat us. And I think that's what we saw play out. And some of it is like you're still leading the league in drops. I get it. That one pass in the end zone to Judy was a dime. And to his credit, that should have been a touchdown. It wasn't. He dropped it.
Probably surprised the shit out of him.
Oh,
The ball was on time and where it was supposed to be. That's an anomaly. Like, I'll say this, and this is to me the most damning thing about this whole scenario. These were the weakest defenses you were going to face this year. There are some real challenges coming down the road with defenses who get after it, who are the real deal, legit defenses in the league, and this stretch that you just came off of, where you might like the Bengals are not playing well in defense. You'll get them in week 7. Hopefully they don't have it figured out by then. But even if they don't, do you have any hope that what we're seeing is going to translate into success? We're not getting more than 2 drives a game, boys. 2. That's it. Everything else is just it's inept. It's ineptitude at a level, because even I've going into the season, I said this on so many shows, I expected the defense to have to do all the heavy lifting. Offense was going to take a while to come along. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think it'd be this bad. This is the worst defense we've seen. And boys, we've sat through some shitty shit. Like just the worst. And this is beyond any of that.
I just confirmed it. It's per completion, but you can say it all you want. Go right on over to ESPN. His season average is 4.8 yards. And
that's a tough. I just looked it up.
I wanted to verify that I wasn't a dumbass. I am a dumbass. There's just not on that situation.
There's so many different ways to look at this, and I get it. I'm looking at stats here, and 2 weeks ago, Joe Burrow went 29-38, 324, and 3 touchdowns against Washington. And I know, if I'm not mistaken, statistically, Washington's the worst pass defense in football right now.
They were.
They had it was something like I put Jerry Jeudy and Deshaun Watson on fantasy stardom because with Watson's rushing totals and things of that nature, he was doing pretty decent. He was around the middle, like 15th or 16th in fantasy. And I know that people are starting to get, on their bye week. And I was like, well, if he can be like, he can do that. And when I'm doing the research, it was like going into this week, Washington had allowed the most fantasy points to wide receivers of anybody in the league. Dreadful. Absolutely. The dude's going out there and winning fantasy games week in and week out because they got to match up against Washington. And you brought this up, Casey. Freaking Greg Olsen was like, man, Washington's defense really came. No, they didn't. They just did the basics, and the Browns offense shit down their legs.
I do. It does still frustrate. I'm trying to be fair. Okay. I'm trying to be fair. It does still frustrate me that, we've just got this run game that for whatever reason, now a lot of this came in garbage time, but you look at it and you say Jerome Ford averaged 5.2 a carry and Deontay Foreman 4.9. So there is some stuff there where you say they did have some success, but if I'm not mistaken, a nice chunk of those yards came after the game was more than
Foreman had that 25-yarder when it was pretty well.
Okay.
It was like 31-6 at that time, I think, or something like that when he did that.
That is a frustrating part of it is that, they're not having that success running the ball. And so I look at it and I'm just saying this hodgepodge offense that you're trying to run is not okay. If we're living in a world where Deshaun Watson is going to go out there against Philadelphia, you can't keep this the same. So to me, I'm looking for solutions. I'm trying to say, okay, what can we do here? I think, when Deshaun first came back against the Texans, they tried to run a different offense and they really fell flat. Now, I know this is a couple years ago now, I get that.
Yeah, it's because they tried to switch their offense in the last fourth of the season.
Right. And that's not a good idea. So I'm wondering, can you roll it back then? Can you go under center? Can you?
I don't think he can.
Well,
I don't think he can succeed at all. He's toast, man. Like, nobody's going to touch him after the Browns cut him. And there's absolutely no reason you should suffer through putting him back on the field. If they start him this week, I'll turn it on, but I'm going to turn the motherfucker off after the end of the first quarter. I almost guarantee it, because it is unwatchable, unacceptable football. Like, think about some of these things. Like, I like at the stats. Pete Smith said this really, yes, he can get cut. Anybody can get cut. I don't care about the money. They can figure it out. Ask Jack Duff, and he knows how it works.
If it really came down to it, they'd probably just send him home. They'd probably just send him home.
You could just keep paying, and he'll take it.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Just go right off into the sunset. He's done it once before.
He's going to need to keep paying off these people, isn't he?
Probably. So Jake Burns highlighted this play. It was the one where he doesn't throw to Jerry Jeudy. And he says, this is a low red zone where everything happens at lightning speed, because they're at the 10, somewhere inside the 10. And he's like, and they do a five-step drop. He's like, I've never heard of that. Never heard of a 5-step drop in that situation. No, you shouldn't. There's not enough room for a 5-step drop. And then he's like, I have a really hard time thinking this is by design. Like, what's going on here? And then Pete Smith, I thought this was just the reason I bring this up is because I think he summed it up really well in what we're seeing. Casey, you're talking about hits the back of the drop, eyes are going down. I think it really was capitalized well. Pete said, I don't know what the call for the footwork was here. So he's like, so I can't, necessarily say that. But I see a quarterback who is waiting for the play to break down and then making a decision, as opposed to one who was trying to hit the primary receiver out of his break. That's what he's doing. You're right. He's not trying to make a play downfield until after he's panicked, freaked out, and run to one side. So you've already eliminated everything on the other side of the field. You're cutting it in half in a panic scramble drill, and your wide receivers don't know where the hell they're supposed to go or what to do, because they can't count on you in any way, shape, or form to do the basic things that you need to do to be successful at the position. It's so pathetic.
The play in question, is it the red zone play where they run like a rub and both defenders go with Cooper on the inside?
Yeah, and Judy's wide the hell open.
Here's the thing, and it was evident on the decoy play. He doesn't read the defense. He's looking for the receiver. He's locked on a person. On the decoy play, he's locked on Jeudy, and Jeudy, all the defense goes to Jeudy, and there's Akins is scot-free on the other side. Same thing happens here. He's just looking at Amari, and he's not reading the defender or the leverage, because it's just it isn't the easiest throw, because it happens that quick in the red zone. But there's no one on Jeudy immediately. As soon as he comes out of that rub, it's now. You have to react now. He's not processing.
No.
His eyes are terrible. He's not processing. He's not pulling the trigger. And like you said, it's almost every play. He's almost, as soon as he hits the back of his drop, the second he hits just once, it's over.
Yeah.
We're not going on any timing whatsoever. He's going to scramble, and he's not even getting out of the pocket, man. I don't know. And the frustrating part to me is there is a solution. It's uncomfortable. Some people are going to have to eat shit. Some people are going to have to look real dumb. But there's the reason you signed 5 to this roster.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. And primarily it was for, in case there's an injury like there was last year, you don't have to go find your Joe Flacco. You've already got your Joe Flacco at home. That's the whole thing.
The definition of we have food at home.
Yeah, you don't
have Joe Flacco.
We got Joe Flacco. You have Jameis Winston. You don't have to run a ton of prep. He's seen everything. But you're going to have to go to him now without an injury.
Shit. He's the one leading the pregame speeches and breaking shit down. Are you fucking serious?
Well, okay, so hear me out. Just purely from we need to identify the biggest problems here We need the most information possible, and so that we can proceed as best for everyone as we can. I think you need to put Jameis out there to see if the offense looks any different or any better, or is the offense in total broken, or is the quarterback broken? Can a quarterback succeed with the offensive line in the run game as is,
or is it too bad?
Right, because if you're Jimmy Haslam, as negatively as I feel about that situation right now, you need to decide: do I need to clean house totally? Do we just need a quarterback? What do we need to do to move forward?
Also, can we talk about how it's Tecmo Bowl, but I thought it was Techno Bowl until last week?
You thought it was Techno Bowl?
You could have literally asked me at any time, and I would have.
No, I was in mid-show. I read your shirt, and I was like, "Huh, interesting."
Yeah.
It's Techno
Bowl. In regards to what Nick just said, there's no way there's not going to be a pound of flesh taken if you have to move on from Deshaun. Now, we'll never know exactly whose decision it was, but I think we all have a pretty good indication where the final outcome lies, because if it was just about performance and playing on the field, then you come out of that second half and Deshaun's not your starter. You move at halftime, but it's not about that. There has to be there almost has to be a lateral decision made with the GM and the owner and the head coach. I don't think you have to talk the head coach into it. I think the head coach knows he's at the end point where he doesn't know what else he can do with what he's dealing with. And everyone keeps wanting to point like, oh, Kevin's going to go down with him. Yeah, maybe if that's who Haslam deems he wants to be the scapegoat. But he signed Jimmy signed Barry and Stefanski this offseason. He didn't re-sign DePodesta. DePodesta he didn't get re-signed yet.
Yeah, they talked about it, but they never did anything that I know.
Right. I think that if there's going to be a sacrificial lamb, I think that's going to be it. Because Jimmy doesn't want to have egg on his face, even if it is his decision, and he's the reason they can't pull him right now. Because if they do have to move off of him, it's going to be the record, and it's going to be the benchmark, and everyone's already saying this is the worst trade in NFL history. It makes it worse if you keep putting him out there. Recognizing a bad investment and cutting bait, that's part of the business. But doubling down on your bad investment and leave him in, causing them to lose games and causing hundreds of season ticket holders to pull their season tickets on Monday morning.
They called it Black Friday or Black Monday. They called it Black Monday, man. Normally what is reserved for the firing of coaches after the season. They said it was Black Monday in Berea, so many people wanted to cancel their season tickets on Monday.
Wow.
And for that reason, I think this Sunday is the last time we see Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
It should be.
Well, you, Casey, to your credit, you were the one you talked about this like 3 weeks ago when the Browns were going to come home and what that was going to look like.
Yeah.
And I agree. If the Philadelphia game is another, okay, because you've been embarrassed against Washington. You've been embarrassed against the Giants. You've been embarrassed against the Cowboys. It's 3 of your 4 losses that have been total hot dog water dog shit. I don't think you can do another and come home and just roll it out. Like you can't. It will be the clips of the way fans react will go epic, viral, all over the internet. And I very strongly believe that the Haslams care what people say about them, what the media, what the Twitterverse, the whole thing. For better or for worse, I do think they care.
Here's my question. When was the last time the Browns didn't sell out a home game?
Didn't?
2 weeks from now.
I don't know.
A couple weeks from now.
It'll be October 20th if he's still the quarterback. I promise you that.
I'm not kidding when I say I don't want to watch on Sunday. And that sucks.
Wow. Josh, that's what I'm saying, man. And that's what it's going to take for Jimmy to feel the realization of how bad this investment's been is when it starts costing you that. When it starts costing you guys like Josh, who have had season tickets for years, to all of a sudden, I'm not signing up for this anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's not the bitch of it is, man, like it feels bad because you're losing, but you're not that far. You need to change a few things for sure, but there's enough young talent on this roster. This isn't burn it to the ground. This is pivot. You got to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pivot away from where the path that you're on, but you still have enough young base talent that you could still make this thing go the trajectory that you're looking for. It's just going to be a sidestep. But here's the question that hurts me is, have we already waited too long for it to be Jameis to save the day? Like you're 1-4. If you do the same shit in Philly and you're 1-5, you might want to lean like if the bye is week 9, right? Or week 10.
Sounds right.
Either way, you have 9 games bye and then you have 8. If you go this way, all this way with this same formula that you're on right now with the same players, and you get to the bye, after the bye, it's GTR time. It's too late for Jameis at that point. If it isn't Jameis by this game or the next game, you got to really start just looking at the future and trying to weigh who should be on this roster going forward, who's worth keeping, who you want to keep around. And that's just a shitty place to be when you have double-digit games left. We got 12 games left. We should be like pie in the sky, anything is on the table. Right now, we're just trying to win a single fucking game.
Yeah. Well,
none of us thought we'd be here.
But the return of first-round pick, as a draft guy, the return of first-round pick was such a big moment for me, right? Like, this was awesome. I can really get into even more of these first rounders. I was still doing it on the side because I love to do it. And I really enjoy watching this stuff and breaking it down, but I wasn't writing about some of those prospects because they just weren't coming to Cleveland. And that was where a lot of my stuff is. And I was writing my mock draft that dropped this morning on the OBR, selfish plug. Go check it out. I retooled the left side of the offensive line and gave you the future at running back all in 4 rounds. But I made a pick at 4 last night. A pick at 4.
I saw it.
Cam Ward. Anyway.
I just got to address this real quick. We're not giving up either. We're looking for solutions here. Jacob's talking draft. Casey's going Jameis or DTR. And I think that's what the conversation we're headed through next.
I would never thought I was going to potentially be talking about a first overall pick.
Oh, you're in the conversation right now. You're 100% in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Because this is the thing. People, okay, listen, I hope the Browns rattle off a bunch of wins as much as anybody, right? Because believe me when I tell you that the type of views that I am getting right now on Twitterverse are not the type of views that I want to get. Okay. Yeah. But I'm going to talk about them for better or for worse. Right. Mm. And they have sapped my ability to be positive. You have 1-4, you have the least wins in the NFL. You are tied for the least wins in the NFL. I don't know what you want from me because people are yelling at me. They're saying, what happened to your positivity? What happened to the good? They have
what should I be positive about right
wins now? In the NFL. Okay. I'm doing my best here. I'm working with what I got. So we are looking for solutions.
Josh, you're out of control. I'm not putting the comments up. I'm not putting those 2 comments up there. I'm not doing it.
Is he still trying to trade Myles Garrett?
No, but he's trying to. He just referred to Will Howard as a juiced up Brock Purdy.
Here's where I'm at. You got Nick
Which
Chubb.
I can see actually, but anyway.
You've got Nick Chubb who worked his ass off to come back from this injury and is close. You got Myles Garrett gutting it out there with 3 injuries or whatever. Until last week, you had Alex Wright who was playing through a torn tricep.
Yep.
Right? You got guys going out there and gutting it out and trying to win and giving their effort. Denzel Ward came back from his gazillionth concussion to be out there.
He's hurt now with something else, but.
Right? David Njoku just got hurt again. That's like somehow flown under the radar as his knee injury. I don't know how serious that is, or
there's multiple injuries that kind of just flew under the radar because everybody was just like,
But what I know is you owe it to those guys, to that core, because this very well could be Joel Bitonio's last year as a Brown. This very well could be Nick Chubb's last year as a Brown.
Amari Cooper as well.
Amari Cooper. There are a lot of uncomfortable conversations that are down the line here, especially in a losing situation, scenario, season, whatever. So you owe it to those guys to do whatever it is you can to, I get it. We all want the sexy number 1 pick, but I think especially to Nick, you owe it to him to do whatever you can to put out some type of product out there that is at least a functional offense.
Make it watchable.
You're right.
I don't want to watch it. I
So
want to play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero instead. Which
right.
is
So is it so let's ask the most important question here. Is it Jameis Winston or is it Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Because I've seen conversations for both.
Today it's Jameis, but if
Yeah.
you wait much longer, it becomes DTR.
Yeah, because once the season is 1 million, like it's very close to being unsalvageable right now.
Well,
'Cause they're 1 in
hold on. Before we say that, let's acknowledge a couple things that are. It seems like they're so far away, but they're really close.
Okay.
No one's running away with your division,
correct.
Mhm.
and you're a game and a half out of wild card right now today at 1-4.
That's crazy.
Right.
Okay.
So if you somehow go to Philadelphia, pull out a win,
Yep.
say Jameis ends up in the game somehow. The next week you're coming back to Cleveland with Jameis Winston under center, David Njoku at tight end, and Nick fucking Chubb at tailback. I think the vibes would be at an all-time high.
Maybe
I think
Jack
you would.
Conklin?
When we talk about Batman, it's always darkest before the dawn, and we got Nick Chubb coming back. Like, it could get so much better so quickly, but they have to tear the fucking Band-Aid off. Before you can heal, you have to stop what's hurting you.
Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen for the Commanders said after the game, and I think it's probably what we all already have kind of talked about, in that just he said he looked like a player who's had stuff going on above the shoulders. It's definitely a confidence thing that's going on. Yeah, couldn't see it. He can't see the field, and I just don't think he's not playable.
The defenses are playing like he is not seeing the field. They were waiting for him to try and drop his eyes and run.
They're not doing anything complex.
They're not
at all. They just know, hey, run some stunts and twists, keep him in the pocket, play a little bit. Don't give him an easy answer. Make sure you hold your coverage for a second or two. It'll break down. He'll panic. It's nothing complex. They're not out there reinventing the Tampa 2. It's not like you've never seen the defenses they're throwing. It's not. They're not even afraid of them throwing it over the top because he doesn't do it. He doesn't take vertical shots. And as a result, you're never going to get any freaking lines to run. You're never going to get any good rush lanes in there because he's throwing the ball less than 8 yards almost exclusively.
It's just like
so
when
you just put everybody in. Yes, just put everybody there in those 8 yards. That's all you need to do. So you're not going to run into that.
You know who does take shots more than 8 yards?
Jameis Winston, man. I want to see it. I want to see it because I need to know. Can you run the ball, Jameis Winston? Can you throw the ball down the field, Jameis Winston? That is need to know information for this picture of evaluation of the Browns season.
Yeah, you can't evaluate things the way they are. They're dead. No. They're dead on arrival. The thing for me is, can Jameis recognize the blitz? Can Jameis get rid of the ball quick enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can Jameis keep this offense on schedule and move chains?
You wanted, and now I know he did some different things in this game, but you know who has a terrible offensive line is completing 80% of his passes? Jaden Daniels.
Oh, Jaden Daniels. Okay.
He came into this game. I don't know what his number is now because I haven't looked it up, but came into this game at like 82%, and he had a really low point average depth of target because he didn't have a good offensive line to really stand behind it and throw downfield a ton. He throws downfield. He's got a rocket. So like he'll throw it downfield. And he did it several times against the Browns. But somehow you got your ass cooked by Dimey Brown, which is just a thing that happened. Right there, fuck you. And but he's succeeding in a very similar issue. And it's because he understands, here comes the blitz. I got to get this to somebody in the open field.
And James, I need to say this, okay? In Deshaun's season, Deshaun's last season as a Texan, and even in his last two,
his whole career,
he was among the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. I think his final year in Houston, he was number 2 behind only Joe Burrow, if memory serves. He was successful as a pass as a passer, as a quarterback, as a leader of the offense, as an elevator of the offense, even with a bad offensive line.
It's what you traded and paid for was an elevator.
And that's the furthest thing in the world from what you're getting right now. And I just got to say, one final thought. We are no strangers to how it goes when the record gets bad. If they lose in Philly and they come home and they get booed, which they will, and it gets really tense, at that point, you're at risk of losing the locker room. You get finger pointing, you get hit pieces, you get all the things that come along with being a true terrible team. We've been down that road too many times. So to me, you have to do everything you can, because if you get to that point, if you lose the team, everybody's getting fired. Everybody's getting fired because there's no coming back from it when you lose the team. Okay? So I want to avoid that situation at all costs, because once you lose team, on top of that, you're probably kicking guys out the door as well. Okay? And that is truly the end of the build that you started in 2016. You have to avoid that at all costs.
Josh Soul, I've spoken on it ad nauseum, and I have an article that came out before the season started where I stated that the Browns could win the AFC North with Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback. He does all the traditional stuff that you want to see. See, I don't think so, Josh. I don't think they've lost the locker room.
I don't think so yet, but I think if you continue to walk in there, I don't know how you with a straight face walk in there and say, this guy gives us the best chance to win, because he just does.
They're a veteran locker room. They've been around. Most of these guys have seen it be bad and have seen this thing get raised. But you point to it. You point to the exact same. The thing that will break the locker room is this defense, man. What you're seeing is the beginning of games, they're coming out lights out. They're holding things down. They're forcing punts. Washington hadn't punted in how long? They had to punt right away against us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you can only keep it up so long when you know the other side's shooting blanks. There's not, if you're in a gunfight and you don't have any bullets, you know what I mean? It's hard for the defense to keep showing up, and eventually you will. Eventually you will break. So I don't think that it's.
No, it's not the Flacco point. Is not what I'm talking about, because Jameis can do what Flacco does: make quick runs to get rid of the ball.
You have Flacco at home. He's already there.
Flacco at home. We have Flacco at home. Shut up.
It's the truth. He's a better athlete. His arms on par. He's a better leader. You know what I mean?
He's already leading them.
Yeah, those clips of him pre-game are really good.
Well, shout out to the camera operator of that game who kept flashing over to him when the announcers wouldn't talk about it.
He knew what was up.
You know what's up. Yeah, you read the room. Like
when I rewatched it, when I rewatched the game, I watched the TV copy, because I obviously didn't watch the second half live, but you made several comments about how they kept going, the camera kept flashing into him, and I'm like, I gotta see this. I gotta. Oh, he is 100% accurate. Like, this guy knew exactly what he was doing.
Those receivers will look live if Jameis is out there, man. That ball's coming for you. It'll be vertical. David and Njoku will get work if Jameis is on the field. Like, I don't know, man. The vibes they're as atrocious as they've ever been.
Crazy fact: 2019 Winston, who was 30 touchdowns, 30 interception, crushes 2023 Flacco in advanced stats and metrics. There you go. Yeah, Flacco at home.
You know what? There is a chance too. Like, I want to go down this road for a second. What if?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What if? Okay, I think part of the reason that they didn't keep Flacco was because of his age. Like, we all want to talk about the stuff with Watson, and I fully acknowledge that. But I think part of it is his age. Mm-hmm. So Winston's still 31. What if he just plays well, and then maybe you say to yourself, "Are we just like?" There are a lot of quarterbacks that have revived. What?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say, do we take a developmental quarterback outside of the first round and roll with Jameis next year? And I said, yes, Garrett Nussmeier.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, I'm trying to think. I had one other good example that I can't think of right now, but that doesn't even matter. Everybody want to cast Daniel Jones off too, and he's playing pretty damn well as well. My point is, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have been thought to be terrible and have bounced back in big ways this year. Even Derek Carr's been struggling a little more lately, but he started off the season hot. My point is, there is a chance here that Jameis Winston could just go out there and play well. The offense could look good, and you might say to yourself, maybe Jameis Winston can be a guy that we roll with in this time. There is a chance, or DTR.
Well, that's the thing is and Pete's brought this up multiple times. You want to try to keep developing DTR, but at the same time, if Winston can come in and give you starting level play right now, you keep DTR and you just keep drafting quarterbacks, keep getting him in there, and then rinse and repeat year in year out. You're going to that's the end game is you want to find your eventual long-term plan. Now maybe Jameis isn't the long-term plan. Maybe he's 3 or 4 seasons. That's enough time to start to keep kicking the tires and getting more people in. You know what I mean? It's people. I don't know, man. Like what was you were a minority owner of the Steelers? What is he really exposed to?
Yeah, that's the question. What did he probably, I saw someone saying that he must have thought it was easy because of how successful everything was over there. And he was like, oh, this is probably easy. I can do this. Man, it's easy because they've had the right people in place for a long time. And they didn't meddle. So
meddling scares me, man. That's the scariest piece of all to me.
You know what? Josh, if you say Chip Kelly one more time, I swear to God.
Hey, he's a hell of an offensive coordinator down at the Ohio State University.
Dude, you know what? He's got to be having so much fun. Like, take all the pressure of being a head coach. He just sits up in the booth with the best running back duo in the nation and just like,
yeah, like
let me try this.
I've got as much financial backing to get any offensive player my heart could desire.
Yeah.
And I just get to do whatever I want.
I got the best. I got one of, if not the best, wide receiver in the country who's 18.
Sure, whatever.
And Emeka Ibuka. I'm not even talking about Emeka Ibuka, who's wide receiver 5 on a lot of big boards, wide receiver 4 on mine, but whatever.
So, I think we are all in agreement that it's okay. Right. Casey, you said pretty strongly that you think this is Deshaun's last week.
Yeah.
As the Browns starter. I think we should come back to that.
Yeah.
Should have already been his last week as a
starter. Yeah, when they put I was beside myself when after they come out of halftime and he's still a quarterback. It's to me, that tells me everything. It tells me it's not Stefanski's decision. And for the record, when people quit listening to shit he says in pressers like it's gospel, it's coach speak. It's never been anything other than coach speak.
Never meant anything.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to say anything salacious that other people have to answer for. He's just going to give you here's the Wonder Bread answer. It's going to be as plain and vanilla as it can be, and I'm not going to try to make any waves. This is not his call, man. This is above his pay grade. Now, you can ask yourself, is that a problem? And I would say yes. I would say your head coach, he didn't even have the power to tell quarterbacks if they were healthy enough to play. I mean, that's obvious. That happened. What makes you think he has the ability to tell this 230 what the fuck ever $1 million quarterback, you're done, buddy. Take a seat.
Someone
he
said,
didn't have that. So
was it Orlovsky?
Should he have? Yes. Your head coach should be able to make those decisions, but he doesn't. He's playing with what he has to have, what they're giving him to play with. So until Jimmy Haslam has seen enough, this is what we have to live through.
I think it was Orlovsky. Maybe it was actually Mike Greenberg who said it, but I saw him just like they are so hell bent on not admitting that this was wrong that they're torching things right now. Like, and whoever's making that decision, whoever it is, which I also agree that I believe it is Jimmy Haslam, but that's what it's about. But at this point, it's like, dude, you're just setting money on fire. Mm-hmm. He's getting the money either way. Let's make a watchable product, put a watchable product on the field and make sure you don't lose even more money because you lose revenue. And
you got two options here. Either you can pay the quarterback to sit at home, or you can pay the quarterback plus the regime that you just extended to go away, because that is where this
Plus
ends.
the new regime that you'll have to pay when you bring him in.
Right. And so if you're just weighing the pros and cons of those finances, you would like to keep the staff that you literally just extended. Probably.
I'm sure you just stopped paying Freddie Kitchens this year.
That's
I was going to say this is the first year we've only been paying one head coach.
That's what I was trying to do the math in my head.
odd.
Because I think he got 5 years in 2019. He got either 4 or 5 years. So this is either the first or second year that you are not paying for Freddie Kitchens anymore.
That's something.
This is year 5, yeah.
And this is the last year of Kevin's deal. His new deal don't start till next year, correct?
Yeah, it was a 5-year deal, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. And I think you've seen enough of what could happen with all the adversity they dealt with last year when he was able to run his system. But that's the other question we're not talking about, man. You brought in all these other coaches to change this entire offense. If we're at the end of the day to kind of have to just revert to what you've always done.
It's
You've
at the
got
breaking point,
personnel
though.
to do it.
Yeah, you have the person. I'm just saying, though, like, what an unnecessary circus this was to come, time is a flat circle and you're back to here, run under center, run and play action, wide zone. Like, I don't know, man. It's, but it also leads to believe, like, was Stefanski, hey, tailor an offense for this guy. We got to make sure, we got to see if this works. Because we talked about this after the first game. How long's the leash? Well, it's proven to be pretty long. It could be longer than we know. And there could have been a handshake behind the scenes. Look, man, we're going to play this dude the entire year. We're going to extend you now. If it doesn't work, we'll move on after the season. There could be things behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Sure.
And that's the reason Kevin's just grinning and bearing it. It's because he might know that we just have to run this string out. We tailored everything to this dude. We got to give it this whole season to see if it works. But what sucks about that is you're wasting the primes of Myles Garrett, of JOK, of Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Dalvin Tomlinson, Joel Bitonio. You know what I mean? This could be his last ride. And to think they were using it as an experiment to see if this dude could still play football, that would really dishearten me, man.
He said, stop it. Is this true? Freddie Kitchens. I'm sorry, man. It is. And here's the thing. Bo Bishop has acknowledged that Watson is Stefanski and Barry's choice, convinced Haslam to go get him. Haslam hasn't meddled in the situation yet. Who controls Cleveland Browns daily?
State-run media, baby.
It's a team-run show. Bo Bishop is a team employee.
I'd like to expand on your point, though. Like, okay, let's say that they came out with the idea that we're just going to play Watson the whole year. We're going to grin and bear it, like you said. That always sounds good in theory. But by the time you get to the end of that road of this year, it is so bad. Like, we have been through this story so many times. It's like everybody hates you. You are the butt of every joke. The team, just all that infighting, I feel like is not like it sounds fine in theory. We're just going to give it the year. We're going to see what happens. But by the time we are in week 6, and it is, they are posting Stefanski's face with the background of like the war meme. You know what I'm saying? It's like the soldier, but they put Stefanski from the press conference.
He's aging like a president, though.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I just don't think I don't think you can make it.
No, me either. In that whole theory, though, where they're at the back door, like, hey, look, we're going to retool this offense for this guy. We're going to give it the best run we can do. And, if he doesn't get hurt, plays the whole season, we'll see what we have, and we'll make moves after that. Denver kind of gave you the blueprint of how to get out of one of these situations. In their wildest dreams, they never thought they'd be 1-4.
I didn't.
There's too much.
You know what I mean? So, like, that changes everything. Because in their minds are like, okay, say he doesn't look good and you're doing what you did last year when he didn't look good, but you were still winning games. So in their mind, they're still going to be able to pull that off and walk that tightrope, and you're still above 500. You're sitting at 3-2 after 5 games, or you're sitting at, in all honesty, man, like, as bad as they played, they still could have won 2 more of those games. You were in position to win the Raiders game and even the Giants game. You know, if last year's team pulls those off, and then you're sitting at 3-2 with bad quarterback play, and maybe you're still trying to figure it out. But when you're 1-4, it gets dark really quick. And then, like, look, man, Philly, Cincy, Baltimore, Chargers.
Yeah,
that's your run before your bye.
That's
like, dude, those are all immensely better teams than teams you've already played.
Andy and the Dog Chug, Ed and Roger, and Ross had me on after the Cowboys loss, and they asked me as a joke, "What if the Browns were 0-5? What would you tweet?" We were like playing a little game, and when I got asked that question, I was like, "There is no fucking way in the entire whole world that they will be 0-5. No way." And here we are, and we're 1-4. And man, you are not that far. You are one Trevor Lawrence pass away from being 0-5, man. So, like, I mean, we talked about winning the division the whole time, hosting a playoff game. And to be here.
Start Jameis this week, and I'll still talk about it.
I really wish they would. I really, really wish.
Well, what are we kind of not all hoping for every Wednesday? Because they don't, on Monday, they go through film. Tuesday, there's no practice. Wednesday, you kind of find out who's really banged up and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be mad if because I saw that dude take shots. That very play we're talking about earlier on the goal line where there's a rub route and he doesn't throw it and he runs. He gets lit the fuck up by Dorrance Armstrong. Lit up, hit in the face. Yeah. Like he facing the wrong direction and lifted into the ground. Like very well could have concussion symptoms. And just saying, I would open the door and I wouldn't put it above certain people to kind of finagle something and there be an injury that all of a sudden pops up.
There's a lot of ways this can go.
That's a great place to.
Right. I think we're all on the same page. We need to identify the problems. We need to know if it's a wholesale problem and you need to start fresh, or if the offense isn't the problem and it's the quarterback. So I'm hoping that by the next time we see you guys, I'm not positive if these guys are going live Friday. I will not be here. But I'm hoping by the next time we see you on Tuesday, we have a lot more answers to those questions. I wouldn't rule it out. Like, if they're bad in the first half, could they go to Jameis? I wouldn't rule it out.
It's the only way I'll watch the second half.
Okay. Well, we know we'll go back and watch it, but Okay. Guys, we've had almost 1,600 of you here. Comments out the wazoo. We love you. And for all of you to be here, like, I'm still scrolling through all the comments. For the fact that so many of you are here through this struggle means the world to us. We do want to give away a Browns jersey at 1,000 YouTube subscribers. A lot of you are here via YouTube. So please, if you click that subscribe button, you will be entered to win a Browns jersey. We'll make sure it's one that is going to survive whatever fallout this is. But we love you. Thank you for being here. This has been a very therapeutic episode of the Barking Browns Show. Nick, he's Jacob. That's Casey. Go Browns.
Yeah, whatever.